I make a motion that we accept the agenda as written with any necessary improvements or corrections.
It's been properly moved that we accept the agenda.
Second.
It's been moved and second. All right, is there any discussion on this? No? Yes. Is there any discussion on this? Yes or no?
Sure, you could ask it.
Okay, well, if you approve of my, second, any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed say nay. Okay, ayes have it. Just, so that we know, in addition to the persons who you see here before you today, we also have, Dr. Martha Hall, who is a board member and who has been ill recently and recovering, and she is on the line. And Dr. Hall, I just want to remind you that while we cannot use you to count toward the quorum, we are allowed to, you are allowed to vote.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. All right, let's proceed with our public comment. And first up is Josh Leach. Just before you begin, Josh, I just want to point out those handouts that we just distributed are from Mr. Leach to be considered for this presentation.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
I'm here to discuss the personnel policy manual. On page 6, the sexual harassment policy states that sexual harassment includes refusal to respect an individual's gender identity. I know that the policy-making board would be the regional board, but to follow the library's policy, I've gone to the director, and now I need to come to you first before I go to the regional board. So that's why I'm here today, to bring this issue before you, and to ask you, as you consider those who go to the regional board, that they would address this concern that I have. Sexual harassment is not refusing to respect an individual's gender identity. That phrase was previously in the personnel manual in the second handout I had to you that's stapled. It was Appendix A. This has been removed from the personnel policy manual, which I'm thankful for. I brought this concern up before, and I believe that most of the regional board members thought they were removing this phrase that's on page 6. Sexual harassment includes refusal to respect an individual's gender identity. But it's still in the personnel policy manual. That's why I'm coming back to you. In the Appendix A, the staple page, on the second page, I've highlighted for you that it clearly defines this phrase of refusal to respect gender identity. It gives an example. It says, for example, intentionally referring to the employee by a name or pronoun that does not correspond to the employee's gender identity. That's why you've seen people go on social media and say, this is the pronoun sexual harassment policy, because the policy has given us a clear definition that if I refuse to call a man she, when that man says he's a she, then your policy manual states that I've committed sexual harassment. And that certainly is not sexual harassment. It would be a violation of my freedom of conscience, my freedom of religion, and my freedom to express truth, reality, to force me to lie to somebody and call them by the wrong pronoun. Now, I do not mean that I can be mean to them or bully them or call them names. You already have policies in your personnel policy manual that protect against harassment of that kind. So I'm not saying that anybody should be harassed or bullied or called names or intentionally be aggressive or mean toward them. That is not what I'm saying. I'm saying that you can't force someone to believe an ideology. It does not say to respect the individual. It says refusal to respect an individual's gender identity, which would force me and force other employees and patrons, which is in that same policy on page 6, employees and patrons. It would force them to accept this gender ideology, which I know you can't change this policy here today in this board, but it does bring up a concern for you about this policy. It's just one more thing that adds to our concerns about what we believe is an LGBTQ agenda, or as the board has put it, a cause. They call this flag a special signifier highlighting the importance of the cause. That was stated by you on this local board. So we are very concerned about this LGBTQ cause that the library has taken up And this is just one more thing adding to the list, along with the mural and along with the other things, the Christmas trees. So I would ask you to consider that as you put people on the regional board, and I thank you for listening to me today. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much. We'll hear from Katrina.
Katrina?
Katrina. Yeah.
It's like this to be included with the
If you
minutes.
don't mind, yeah, give it to me and
Oh.
I'll review it.
Okay. Sorry, didn't remember.
Okay, there have been an incident in the past where, a public speaker had asked to hand out something and we looked at it later and it was very derogatory. So is this a copy of what you're getting ready to read to us today?
Correct, yes.
It is?
Including an open letter, maybe Ken could actually, Ken.
So
prepare-
I'm gonna let you do your public comment and then we'll take a look at it, okay?
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you for letting me speak today. How did we get here? Think back to your first experience in the library. Were you a child? How did you feel the first time you saw all those books? Did you search the card catalog to find that special book you were looking for? Or was your first experience using a computer in the library? A lot has changed since then, sure. Many children now have computers at home. Some who are fortunate even have those pocket-sized computers we call cell phones with them. But not all children have access to a computer, cell phone, internet, or books at home even. How did you all get here today? Why did you decide to become a member of the library board? Were you a regular library patron who started coming to get your book fix, then began participating in a book club, until suddenly you felt like this was your second home? Were you an educator who saw the power of reading and what it could do for the imagination and education of children? Were you a parent who brought their children to Story Hour or the many other programs at our library because you remember how much, many of the programs, because you remember how much you enjoyed these experiences in your own childhood? Perhaps you're an elected official, and of the many meetings you could attend by virtue of your office, you chose this one because it holds a special place in your heart and in our community. How did we get here? What started as a complaint in June 22 by a single individual over pride flags hanging behind the circulation desk that has taken on a life of its own. In October of that year, this board was seeking to find a compromise after listening to both sides expressing opposing views. That compromise was to install the Libraries Are For Everyone mural that is in the lobby today. All of the members of the board who were at that meeting agreed to the mural's installation. Commissioner Lucas even volunteered to contact the county maintenance department to prioritize the painting of the wall so that the mural could be installed. On that day, the board surely hoped that it would have found a solution that would be acceptable to all. Since then, the dispute only deepened. The pride flags are long gone, but still positions hardened and rhetoric escalated. Suddenly, ultimatums were thrown around. The specter of defunding got bandied about until suddenly it was no longer just an absurd suggestion during public comment at a meeting. Now it was a talk of elected officials. It was if we were all frogs in a pot of water as the temperature increased so incrementally that we all failed to notice until it was almost too late. How did we get here? Surely none of the trustees joined wanting the notorious distinction of presiding during the closure of the library. That can't be what any of you wanted. The one thing which we should all agree on is shutting down the library is antithetical to your responsibilities as trustees. Can anyone stand up and say that all libraries in our system should be closed until the mural comes down? If your answer is yes, will you say aloud which of the 10 diverse people represented in the mural are not welcome at our public libraries? Where do we go from here? I hope the answer is clear. The board should stand by their decision that libraries are for everyone. The trustees should sign a letter to each county library board, and the regional trustees the county commissions, city commissions, and boards of education for each county in the system, stating the one thing which everyone should agree, that there is no justification to shut down the Okefenokee Regional Library System, and that any entity withholding funds should release them immediately and comply with the maintenance of effort requirements established by the Georgia Public Library Service. Making sure the library is funded and open to the public is the most basic and important ethical responsibility you can fulfill as a trustee. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you both so much for bringing your concerns to this body. I do want to remind all those in the room that there is an opportunity, Madam Director, 7 days prior to the meeting?
7 days.
7 days prior to the meeting, so thank you. We did not go over rules of decorum. I'm looking around and I'm seeing a lot of adults, right? And so I'm hoping that we can conduct ourselves, no yelling out, no obscenities. If we just treat everybody with respect, we should be just fine. All right, so the next item on the agenda is the approval of the minutes from our January 22nd, 2024.
Madam Chairman, I say that we approve the minutes from the previous meeting.
It has been moved that we accept the minutes from the previous meeting. Is there a second?
Second.
Did you get that?
Etheridge.
Ms. Etheridge, and that was you, Commissioner Bennett, Commissioner Bennett. Second, has been moved and properly second. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, say nay. All right. Thank you. Okay, unfinished business, library renovation update, and so we will yield to our director, Erica Stembridge. And as she prepares to give her report, I just want to say, she hasn't been on the job long, but she's been working hard, and we thank her for all that she's done.
As you probably all already know, we had received a little over $1 million grant for library renovations here at the Waycross Ware County Public Library. We were waiting on a local match, which we are very, very appreciative to the Ware County Commissioners for agreeing to make the local match. We're hoping to fast track this project. I spoke to Nathan Rawl, who works at the state office. He's the director of building committee, and so we need to come up with a building committee. He said it needs to be the director, the local board chair, which would be Ms. Harris, somebody from the county, and another member from the board. So however you want to proceed with that, Ms. Harris.
We will definitely be in conversation with the county commissioners and the county department and make this recommendation to them. I thank you for all your work in making sure that we are prepared to move forward with our renovations. Okay? Anybody have any questions? Moving right along to our regional board appointee elections. Moving forward in the remainder of the agenda, I will ask that as we vote, we're gonna do a roll call vote, Madam Secretary, so that we can make sure that we are accurate as we make our decisions. So at this time, I'll take nominations for the regional board appointee. Yes, ma'am.
Madam Chair, I'd like to nominate Sharon Jacobson, please.
Cheryl Jacobs.
Yes.
Are there any other nominations? Yes, ma'am.
I'd like to nominate Carla Parker, please.
All right, Carla Parker. Are there any other nominations? Are there any other nominations? Are there any other nominations? Hearing none, after 3 calls, the nominations are closed on the name of Cheryl Jacobs and Carla Parker. And so it is my our tradition, we normally start with the person nominated last. And so, why don't we gonna do, I wanna make this as quick as possible. So, the way we've done this in the past, right, is we just written the names down on a piece of paper, and, that'll make it go a little quicker. It could be any piece of paper. Yes, ma'am. No, she gonna rip some right out of there. And, we need 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So we ask that you put your choice, we have Carla Parker and Cheryl Jacobs, that you would put your choice on the paper, fold your paper, into a quarter, right? So that's folded one way and then folded the other way, and then we will count the votes. Thank you. We ask, that you prepare yourself going for the rest of the agenda items to be done by roll call vote. And so we will hand our vote to, our secretary. Madam Secretary, how many votes do we have?
9.
Okay, and I will, we will help you keep tally.
Okay, Cheryl Jacobs.
Cheryl Jacobs, 1. Cheryl Jacobs, 2. Cheryl Jacobs, 3. Carla Parker, 1.
Cheryl Jacobs.
Cheryl Jacobs, 4. Carla Parker, 2. Carla Parker, 3.
Cheryl Jacobs.
Cheryl Jacobs, 5. Carla Parker, 4. We have 5 for Cheryl Jacobs and 4 for Carla Parker, which gives us our total of 9. And so congratulations. Huh?
Dr. Hall's.
Oh, I apologize. Dr. Hall,
Yes, ma'am.
can you text your vote to Daniel? Are you able to do that?
I don't
I
know.
think so. I think I can.
And your Daniel, the guy that texted you earlier.
We're on the phone right now.
You're on the phone with him right now.
Honey, text to her.
Can you do that?
Well, I'm on the phone with it, right?
Okay, let's make it easy. Who are you voting for, Carla Parker or Cheryl Jacobs?
Cheryl Jacobs.
All right. Sorry about that, Dr. Hall. Thank you for reminding me. So that makes a total of 10, and we have 6 and 4. All right, so congratulations, Cheryl. Our next agenda item would be, advocate letter. So this agenda item is, I would like the board to consider writing an advocacy letter to our funding sources. As part of the ethics statement, that is provided for each of our trustees, which some trustees refuse to sign, requires that we be advocates for the library and for it to remain open. I think any, issues that arise in the library, we just have to continue to work through, but not to penalize our community by not having this resource available to them. And I believe it would go a long ways. We've had citizens go to community meetings and to speak for keeping the library open and advocating for the library. But what a difference it would make if the board would send a letter appealing to our local officials and the leaders of our community, to continue funding the library. Here's the thing, when we look at what the library provides and what it means to the community, it means so much more than what gets acknowledged or discussed. When I look at the toddler time and the pictures of all the kids, when I come in and I talk to the people who are here at the library, and they tell me what a great resource this is, not because only of information, but because we have a staff that is willing to go the extra mile to ensure that those who maybe not like some of us in the room, who have ready access to the internet, who know about how to engage the IRS or to fill out an online application, who know about technology and who are able to understand even some of the things that they read, that our library staff provides that resource for them. Most of all, they provide a safe and healthy place for our children to come. There are just too many people and too many children who love this library and whose lives are positively affected by this library to let a little discrepancy cause us to turn our backs on all those people. And so I appeal to this board as a matter of responsibility that we would commit to sending an appeal letter to our funding sources, asking them to continue to ensure that the funding that we need is available. Right? Many of you know in the packet that was provided by one of our public speakers, by Katrina Campbell, there's a lot of information in there that's all public, that we've all seen before. But one of the things I noticed in the packet was a letter. So I'm thinking great minds think alike. That could serve as sort of a template for us to work through. And so what I'm asking us to do today is to vote and make a commitment of whether or not we are going to appeal to our funding sources to work with us and not just give us ultimatums. Okay? So I'm open for a motion.
I move that we sign and send this letter to all of these funding sources.
Sign.
Second it.
So you're saying that we should use the letter that has been provided?
Yeah, I think it's pretty clear
Okay.
and thorough
Okay.
and covers pretty much everything.
All right, so it's been moved and properly second.
Who seconded?
Etheridge did.
Okay.
Okay, thank you. All right. Is there any discussion?
Yes.
Okay.
I see
Oh,
your
hold on.
problem.
We have multiple hands, so hold on one second. Go ahead, Evelyn.
Okay, it says, in our capacity as trustees of the Waycross Ware County Public Library, we find there is no reasonable justification for any of the above listed entities to withhold funding to the OKRLS. I don't think that that's a truthful statement,
Okay.
so I'm not ready to sign off on this letter.
Okay, did you read the remainder of the letter?
Yeah, I read your letter.
How's the remainder of the letter?
Some of it is pretty good, but that right there is enough for me to say you need to stop and listen to yourself and listen to the board members, whether they're on our local or regional board, or whether they're commissioners on the boards of commissions from the
Alright.
different counties, because I've heard from
Or-
Ackland, Bacon, Clinch, I've heard from Ware and Pierce, and I've spoken with these people. So some of this is just not true.
Okay, so you're saying that there aren't community members who our commissioners represent who think that there aren't any who think that there is no justification? Not saying we don't have any issues to work out, but that our issues are not big enough to not provide the funding to the libraries is what I understand what you read to say.
They don't want to defund this library. That's what you're not getting. They don't want to defund it. They want us to clear up the disruption up here at the library, and they don't want us to have any division in the community. That's
Okay.
what they want.
But if we say no division, then that means that everybody has to agree on the same thing all the time.
No, that's not true.
Okay, so then what does it mean?
That means we ought not be bickering about stuff that doesn't even belong in this library.
Okay, but this is the thing, that bickering, as far as I'm concerned, is generated, outside of the library. And as a funding source, you firmly have the choice and to decide whether that particular division is worth shutting down the library, or can we continue to work with ways? Because I can tell you that there are people in the community that don't necessarily agree. They don't agree with each other, and they're all tax-paying citizens, and they all deserve to be heard.
Exactly.
So
They all need to
but
be heard.
but the ultimatum doesn't seem to be that way. So I wanna give fair time to everybody. Evelyn, I apologize. So I'm gonna yield to Carla.
Thank you, ma'am.
We have just been presented this letter
Uh-huh.
and have not had time. I like to be able to read through and digest what is in the letter.
Okay.
It is not a letter from the board. It is a letter presented to us from a community member. So if we're going to send an advocate letter from the board, then the board needs to work on the letter. And we can't be expected to sign off on something
I agree
that we
with
just
you.
have been given.
I agree with you, Carla. I think that is a reasonable request. I do agree. So, Madam, Ms. Jacobs, anybody else have any discussions?
I do have some discussion too. Go ahead.
Go ahead.
Yeah, you go ahead, you raise your hand first.
I'm like Ms. Parker, I agree that this needs to be digested a little bit more. And I'll just have to say up front, coming from a county commissioner standpoint, that I cannot sign this letter because I am a county commissioner, and this letter will be coming directly to me and the 4 others. The other thing I would like to say is, just like our librarian just said, we voted unanimously, I believe it was week before last, to go ahead with the $1 million that the county would match.
And we're very grateful.
And we have elected to match that. And we also, as a county commission, voted for all 5, 0 no's, all 5 were yeses, that we gave a deadline for this conflict to be done and over with, which is May 31st, or we were gonna start our defunding process.
Now,
And that's in our minutes.
Commissioner Lucas, with all due respect, I think from my recollection, I'm hearing a combination of 2 different things. When you voted for the renovations,
Right.
you voted for the renovations,
Right.
right? So this idea of the defunding, I think you're referring to the 90 days, am I correct?
Yes.
Was a separate action
Absolutely.
at a separate meeting.
No, same meeting.
Yeah, that was in the
No,
same-
I don't think so.
Yeah, that was
I mean,
same meeting.
That was the same meeting.
The same meeting?
Yes, it was.
They
Last
voted
week,
to- they
last
voted-
meeting?
It was a couple of meetings ago, they
La-
voted
it was-
to, give the library, they voted for the match to fund the renovation and to begin the renovation on the library. But then they gave it 90 days for defunding, which is kind of odd that we're gonna renovate the library, but we possibly gonna defund it as well.
Here's the thing. I was out of town during the meeting when they voted the 90 days. I was in town when they voted to, proceed with the renovations and to honor the match. So it couldn't have been on the same day.
Oh, okay,
It-
maybe
it
it
So,
wasn't.
hold on.
Okay, it was a different one.
So the meeting with the 90-day thing came, and this is just incidental, but for clarity, was the meeting prior.
Oh, okay,
So,
gotcha.
so that's, so we fair and clear, will we agree on that?
Well, I'll take your word for it. I'll
Okay,
double- I'll
all
double
right,
check.
I appreciate
I'll double
it.
check, to make
Thank you
sure.
so much.
But the 90 days the funding of the library was to continue the process to get that $1 million grant, which was told to us by a gentleman that was there that night who spoke out of turn.
Oh.
But it was clarified by the librarian, which I'm so glad she did, she clarified it, and then our county manager got on board with it and worked very quickly. He had it settled in 2 days.
Oh.
And he agreed, the roof that we've already put on and paid for last year, and the boiler that brand new boiler we just put on the building, that would come off of our match. And then that we would match the rest. And we
If the
did
state
vote.
okayed the roof too.
Right.
They did.
Yeah,
They
they
Right.
did, okay, that's
They-
it.
And just for
back.
clarity, the match is not a dollar for dollar match, it's a percentage.
It's a
match.
percentage.
10% match.
Okay.
The county matches 208,000.
Yep.
Okay, so,
Sure.
I just wanted some clarifications on, like, let's see, I wrote it down, hold on. You said that there are facts that warranted defunding the library. What are those facts?
They want the disruption and the division to stop.
Okay.
So if that means only a handful of people are represented on that mural, and it's causing division in the community, they want that mural taken down. It's an easy fix.
Okay, so,
They
thing
don't
about-
want people fussing about who goes into a bathroom, whether you're a man or a woman, given one day versus another. There's no fluidity. Let's do single
we've
occupancy.
had absolutely no issues of that happening at this library,
It
no.
could.
It
Okay.
could, what if? I mean, we can what if and tilt at windmills all day long if we want to.
Ms. Jacobs, I'm sorry, and Ms. Denton, I believe that, we can maybe come to a resolution, at least a next step, a little quicker. I agree that the board, should put together the letter. I agree with that. So perhaps could we, replace the motion with the motion to at least agree that we need to do the letter?
What is the origin of the thought of the letter?
The origin of the thought is to send a message to our funding sources that as a board, we support keeping the library open even amidst whatever issues or what did you call it? Division that may exist among us. That it does not, that not to, as a result of, you're not getting your way, just close the library and let's continue to see if we can find, ways to deal with what's going on. Because in all honesty, since this conversation has started, the library staff, both regional and local, have made a lot of changes. A lot of changes, and I don't wanna dwell on the mural because that discussion is coming up later and I don't wanna duplicate it. And I think I don't hear any acknowledgement about what's being done. And to me, when you say, I want all of what I want regardless of what anybody else wants, that's not a division, that's an ultimatum. Because divisions exist among people. Everybody in this room has a different opinion about everything, right? And when we're our community, when we come together and we find a respectable way to acknowledge everyone. And again, I don't wanna get into the mural because that's a separate discussion that we're gonna have later, but I do think that it sends a different message. So if we wanna talk about next step forward and how we can affect the change in our community about this, or maybe if we start with the board coming together and saying, we were placed here to advocate for this library, to ensure that resources were being used for our communities, and we see the greater good in what our libraries do, and appeal to them to please look beyond the loud noise and see the quality of what is happening in our communities. And Evelyn, you and I agree with that, because if we can't agree on anything else, we said we have a great library system, we're doing great things, and there has been a lot of changes. And so I think that without a letter, a united voice saying that to our funding sources, then they're allowed to agree or to at least entertain the idea that that's not true. And I think all of us here, none of us here want the library to close. And so I'm asking this board to take a action together to appeal to our funding sources to keep the library open.
Madam
Now,
Chair.
hold on, I want to thank Ware County, I wanna thank, Appleton and Brantley, and who am I leaving out? Clinch.
Pierce.
Well, I didn't get the Pierce yet. And Clinch, right? For despite whatever's going on, have, okay, at least in my perspective, remain supportive. Doesn't mean that they agree or like every single thing, but they have remained supportive, right? And so I think that, we need to ensure that all our funding sources remain supportive. And that's just all I'm asking for is a pill letter. I do agree that it needs to be formulated by this body because it will be the voice of this body. And so what I'm asking for is if you would be willing to, replace your motion and offer that we write a letter. we formulate a letter to our funding sources, right? We can use this as a draft, as a template, and that we can work from it. That a committee be formed to have this letter, ready, by next Monday? Would you be willing to make that, would you be willing to, is it called rescind, sir? What did she do to take her motion back?
Amend
Amend?
the motion.
Are we,
Okay. I'm sorry, yes, ma'am.
I just wanted, if the discussion is not over, I guess my question,
Uh-huh.
I think what you were giving was the reason for the letter. And my question was the origin, or is this coming from you as the chair?
Absolutely.
This was
Yeah.
the letters.
Cause, you know,
from
we're all
you.
racking our brains, right? Trying to figure out what can we do. I would hope that there's not a person on this committee that doesn't love libraries and our library system. I would hope.
Madam Chair, I would like to interject a comment that is factual, which is what was interjected about a year ago. We have a standing law that was done by the 11th Circuit Court of Appeals dated December the 22nd, 2022, that ruled in favor of St. John's school system, St. John's County, Florida school system, in reference to exactly what's been brought up here today about the libraries, about the bathrooms, about murals, about sexual harassment, different things like that. That was, the school board won. And what that law what it entangled was, the school board was sued by a family because their child wanted to use the opposite restroom of its nature first. No,
Mr.
I have a right to finish saying this.
Commissioner Lucas, I know you do, but I'm gonna
That
ask
is
you, I am gonna ask you if you would consider this board and our time, and only because, Josh Leach recognized in his public comment that when it comes to bathrooms, this body can't really do anything, and so we're gonna have some further, discussion about the mural a little later on, and I would just ask if we could deal with what we have on the table right now, and that is Ms. Jacobs willing to amend her motion.
Okay, I'm willing to amend the motion
Okay?
to say that we form a committee,
Mhm.
and put together a letter from our board by next Monday and send it out to all the funding sources and everyone sign it.
Okay, so it's been moved that, yes, sir.
That's really not an amendment. She wants to refer it to a committee. That is a subsidiary motion. So you're gonna refer to committee, her main motion, and then y'all can work on it in committee.
Okay, but we have to agree to do the letter first before,
No, let the committee, you're gonna have a committee work on it.
but if there's nothing for the committee to work on, that, it has to be a
She's got
consensus.
the motion is the letter that you have in front of you. You refer it to committee, the committee can change it, whatever they wanna do, bring it back to the body, and y'all can vote on it then.
That seems like a lot of work if the committee doesn't wanna do the letter. So I'm gonna ask if we could do that another way, to prevent all the work from being done if this committee decides it's not a letter.
Well, if you want
that
a
they wanna
different
do.
thing, then you need to fail that motion and then bring up something else.
Well, she can fail her motion and make a new motion, correct? I think that's what I saw at the commission
She can
meeting.
withdraw her motion,
She could what?
withdraw her.
Yeah,
motion.
that's it. You can withdraw your motion and then make a new motion.
Okay, I withdraw my motion
Okay, thank you.
and make a new motion
Okay, there we go.
to form a committee for us as a library board to get together and make a letter from us to send to all the funding sources in our advocacy and support of the library,
Okay,
for us to sign that.
right. Do you want to include in that motion, appeal to keep our libraries open?
Yes, and if you'll, yes, oh my God, yes.
Okay, all right.
If you'll keep
all
our
right,
libraries
okay.
open.
All right. So, it has been moved that, that this body sanction a letter going to our funding sources, appealing that they continue to fund the library and, as part of that, that a committee would be formed to develop the letter by next Monday, close of business, close of business. All right, so it's been moved,
And I second it.
and it's been moved and properly second. I kinda think we had a lot of discussion about it, right? So I'm gonna ask if we would vote.
I'm sorry, I do have one question.
Yes, ma'am?
Some of the wording that was reworded said that we sanction a letter. But the committee will work on the letter, and there won't be any, I mean, everyone will have an opportunity, everyone on the board,
Mhm.
to approve or,
Right, to say whether the letter is good or not, right, but in this motion, we're also agreeing to send the letter. So we're gonna agree to send the letter, then we're gonna do the work. I don't believe in doing work and then coming back, people say, no, we're not gonna do it, okay? So the motion agrees that we're gonna do the work.
Madam Chair.
Hold on 1 second, she's trying to clarify her notes.
Okay, I need to clarify too.
And that a committee be formed to formulate the letter. Yes, ma'am.
I think I would rather send my own letter personally.
Okay, well, we get ready to vote, so you have opportunity to do that. All right, it's been moved properly second and discussed. All those in favor of sending a letter to our funding sources and commissioning a committee, to provide us with a letter, say aye.
Aye.
No, hold on, wait a minute, I have to take my own word back, right? Cause I did say we were gonna do roll call votes, so let's start with Ms. Bennett.
No.
Nay for Ms. Bennett. Ms. Williams?
Yes.
Yes for Ms. Williams. Ms. Jacobs?
Yes.
Yes for Ms. Jacobs. Ms. Parker?
nay.
Nay for Ms. Parker. Yes for Ms. Harris.
Yes.
Yes for Ms. Etheridge.
Yes.
Yes for Ms. Bennett. Ms. Coker?
Nay.
Nay for Ms. Coker. And Commissioner Lucas? Nay.
Yes.
All right.
And Ms. Hall.
Dr. Hall, y'all need to give me a picture. Thank you. Dr. Hall,
Yes, ma'am.
are you yay or nay?
Yay.
Yay, okay. All right, what we got?
5 yay and 4 nay.
All right, well, the yays have it. We will work on that appeal letter.
So that means y'all's names only will go on this, correct? Not the four of us?
That may be the end result.
Okay.
That may be the end result.
Thank you.
Okay, so,
We've got 10 people and 9 votes.
All right, hold on. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, no. Yes, myself.
thank you for bringing that up.
Jen. Cheryl. 6.
6 for it?
6 yay.
Okay, thank you for clarifying that. I appreciate that. So, as the chair, I have the authority to appoint committees. So, Ms. Evelyn Denton, would you like to be on the committee?
No, I'm gonna write my own letter.
Okay,
Thank
you're
you.
gonna write your own letter. All right, so Cheryl, since you wrote you brought the motion, I'm sure you would wanna be on the committee. I'm gonna ask for 2 more volunteers to be on the committee, to write the letter. Ms. Williams, and anybody else? All right, and me. All right, the next item on our agenda is the Constitution and Bylaws Committee. And, Ms. Zumbridge, if you would lead us in, that discussion about our Constitution and Bylaws Committee and just remind us of the cycle by which we review those.
Every 2
documents.
years, they should be reviewed. I believe they were reviewed in 2022 with no changes. So this would be the year to review the Constitution and bylaws again.
I know, didn't we change the format of them
On the printed ones I have, it says they were reviewed in 2020. So,
though?
That's the last time they were reviewed.
Was it 2020?
Okay, hey
It
Lynn,
got pushed
Lynn said
out.
that's, okay.
Getting kicked down
Yeah, because what happened is,
Okay,
when it
okay.
came up for review the last time, the regional board was in the middle of reviewing their, documents. And so we decided that it wouldn't make any sense to do that work
Oh, yeah.
and
okay.
then, for them to come right behind us with changes, and then we have to do work again, so again, Constitution and Bylaws Committee. This is a board of 10, is that right? And so I am going to ask if we could have 5 people who are willing to work on our Constitution and Bylaws Committee.
Sure.
Luana,
Yes, ma'am? That's not right?
I believe your committee was the entire board before that was voted on for that at a previous meeting. Was it not?
I don't remember what we voted on.
There was a committee.
But-
Yeah, it was Candace,
Yeah,
me, and Tawana.
it was 5.
Okay, sorry.
That's okay. Thank you. Keep us on point. Don't stop. Okay, so I have Evelyn, and who else?
I'll stay on.
Cheryl, stay on, and Carla. And I guess Tawana, Dr. Hall, would you like to be on the committee to review the Constitution and bylaws?
Oh, ma'am.
She's got enough on her plate.
Miss Williams, okay, no, yeah, no? Yeah. Okay, Miss Williams, we are really you just jump right in, girl. Right, so that'll be Evelyn Denton, Cheryl Jacobs, Carla Parker, myself, and Miss Jan Williams will serve as our committee to review our bylaws and Constitution, and I believe we just worked, we kinda got together and figured our work schedule out. We set a work session last time, and, for our other documents, we set a work session, and then, we presented at the following board meeting.
So, Madam Chair,
Yes,
do you want me to forward the ones that we had discussed previously that align with the regional constitution bylaws? Okay. I mean, it's already done, why reinvent the wheel?
that would be fine, thank you, Ms. Denton.
You're welcome.
Appreciate that. All right. So moving right along to the moment in time we've all been waiting for. Library real discussion. We have received some reconsiderations in relationship to our, library mural. And the board members have all of those reconsiderations available. Now, Madam Director, and if I'm not mistaken, we don't really have in terms of this really, the level of detail we would like and how we can handle in terms of, having those persons who have submitted their reconsiderations engage with the board, right? Am I right?
I think it's up to you
Right,
if you
right,
want
so I'm
them to
saying- Yeah.
engage.
So I think, let me see if everyone is here. I see Ms. Wilson. And I see Crystal. And I see okay, Carrie Johnson. Okay. And Elizabeth Bond.
Jennifer Hersey is here.
Oh, hold on. Is that one,
That was,
different?
that one was in between Crystal and Carrie.
I missed it, okay.
It was probably stuck together.
Thank you. Oh, yeah, Jennifer Hersey, great, all right. So, what I would like to happen is I would like for each person to come up and to share with us, basically the gist of their reconsideration. I would like to give every person that comes to us, 2 minutes? 2 minutes? To kind of address the board. Yes? Are we okay? It seemed like some concern.
Do I need to put this back up?
Yeah, would you?
Okay, that's what I was wondering.
It's always better to have a podium to hide behind.
And the reason why I'm asking them to do this is for transparency, okay? All right, so I'm gonna go.
Did you want it timed?
Yes, please, because that's just to respect everyone's time.
And how many minutes?
2. Make it 3. Okay? Okay. So I'm gonna ask if the first person would come, and that would be, and I'm gonna go in order there in the packet, okay? Linda Wilson.
You want me at the podium?
Yes, please.
Before I make my comment, I think it is noteworthy for everyone to realize that we probably had 100 or so of these filled out and brought or sent or emailed. And those have never been addressed, and they seem to not be available, which is concerning.
Thank you.
I will remind everyone who, you probably already know this, but the first mention of the problem or the issue, concern, whatever you wanna say, was me.
I'm sorry, have you started? Yeah,
Oh,
okay.
she started.
All right, thank you. All right, go ahead, Ms. Wilson. So you were the first person to bring the issue. Sorry. Cause you
And I went through all of the steps.
Okay.
My last time, and when this was done, my point is that the mural does not depict libraries are for everyone. Two very obvious examples of that: the symbols for the Muslim religion and also the symbol for the LGBTQ lifestyle. Where's the symbol for Christianity? That is the largest religious group in our country. What is the symbol for the heterosexual population? That is 86.7% of the population of our country. The promotion of one religion and one lifestyle clearly is not depicting libraries are for everyone. There's never been any intent to close the library. What we are asking is for the mural to come down and let the people who work in the libraries and all of us coming and going prove that libraries are for everyone.
I think you're right on time, Ms. Wilson. Thank you so much. All right.
Hi, I'm Crystal Wynn. I've spoken to most of you, so those who are new, many times before, so you have heard from me, and you've heard from me, and I think all those that you're gonna hear from today, you've had great transparency with us. But they're not all present, because there were many forums when we met with the interim director. He had many forums. So sadly, you won't hear from all those in person, but I do hope you hear from me in saying that the message has been the same the entire time. We don't want any symbols about sexuality and who prefers to have sex with who within the library. And I will say there's been arguments about how it helps people feel seen, but that too, the way I felt seen, I've been very active in my family in the library for many decades, and my children. I have a deaf daughter who wears a cochlear implant, so the cochlear implant's present on the mural. It doesn't help her feel seen. She's confused by the sexual symbol associated with that particular individual. But what helped her feel seen was the previous director of the Pierce County Library, when she was going through her surgeries, reaching out to us and through the library program, supplying us with technology for her to use as she went and had surgeries, and as she came back and forth from Atlanta for the surgeries. So the staff here does help people feel seen. The mural confuses children about who wants to have sex with who, and there's no place for it in a library. That's not what we're here for, but I do appreciate the staff, former and present, who reach out to impact people in a way that actually has meaning and is a one-on-one relational way. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, Jennifer Hurst.
So, first off, the hijab is not just a religious symbol, it is a cultural thing that they do, not just a religious. And you can't just exclude people because they don't believe the same thing that you do. The original the original intent behind the mural from the artist herself was to show that everybody in a marginalized community is represented and welcome in the library. If you are in the majority, you are recognized and welcome everywhere. That's the whole thing. If you're marginalized, you want to know where you go is you're welcome. You want to know you're safe there. You want to know that you're not going to be turned away. If you're a majority, you're a Christian, a white, a straight person, you don't have that issue anywhere you go. You don't have to worry about your safety wherever you go. Representation in a mural is not the same thing as promotion. Those are two very different things. And a tiny little rainbow heart isn't necessarily for the gay sex. If you're explaining gay sex to your kids, that's on you. That's not on anything that's represented in one small piece of a tiny mural. So, that's all I got to say about that.
Thank you. I'm gonna try Carrie Johnson again. In all fairness, I will let you know that Carrie Johnson is asking us to reconsider the reconsideration, and she is asking that we do not remove the mural, for it provides a feeling of being welcome no matter who you are. Okay? And last but not least, Ms. Holmes.
Yeah, I don't really need 2 minutes, but I just think that the exhibit policy is poorly written. I don't feel that the mural falls under an exhibit or display. I think it's an installation. So I think it leaves a lot of room for misinterpretation. And I also agree with the last speaker who said the difference between promote and represent. Again, I think it's a policy, poorly written policy, and I think there's a lot of room for misinterpretation, and I think that should be reevaluated by the board.
All right, I do see your hand, Mr. Leach, but for the sake of time, I only committed to allowing those persons who submitted a reconsideration form to speak.
I submitted one.
For a request for
Yeah,
reconsideration?
we submitted about 60 of them to Mr. Stephen Wiggum. And that's whenever I went to you and I went to you.
Okay, so you submitted them when?
Whenever Mr. Stephen was interviewed.
Okay, so, I do offer my apologies for that, but at this particular time, I can't commit to nothing else but investigating that, okay?
I've already,
So I'm sorry.
I've already came to you with that email.
I'm sorry, we have heard from the persons who have submitted, the consideration forms. And so now we'll entertain a motion related, to the mural.
Mr. Burks.
Okay, so are you making a motion, ma'am?
No, I think you should have discussion.
Well, you have to make the motion first, then come to discussion. Either for us to leave the mural up.
Okay, I make a motion that we leave the mural up.
Okay, it has been moved that, the mural remain in place. Is there a second?
I make a motion that we take the mural
Hold on,
down because
we have a mural on the floor. I mean, a mural.
Maybe.
A motion on the floor. Is there a second to the mural remaining up? Okay, so it's been moved and properly second. Now, is there any discussion?
I would like to make a motion. It is clear that there's pure division because of this mural. That is the true division that's going on in this library. Bathrooms are on top of that. And since I was stopped before, I will reiterate, educate yourselves on the law by the 11th Circuit Court of Appeals that was appealed to the U.S. Supreme Court, and the U.S. Supreme Court kicked it back down and said, let the lower courts handle it. That's what we're talking about here. We're talking about violating law. That's exactly what's happening right now by this board, is violating law that was signed off and approved by the 11th Circuit Court of Appeals, which governs Georgia, Florida, and Alabama. There is no higher court other than the U.S. Supreme Court. It was appealed to them, and they kicked it back down. I know I'm not as smart as Mr. Taft is on those subjects because he is actually a lawyer, but I was in law enforcement for many years, and I do educate myself quite often.
Do you have a copy of that? It's not your turn to speak.
Hold on. Point of order. Thank you. Okay. Point of, sir, point of order. We will abide by the rules of decorum, so there will be, no shouting out, and I appreciate your help, but I have it. Thank you. Thank you so much. Okay?
But my motion is that it is clear that there's division due to the mural, due to the questions about the bathrooms. And we actually need, I would suggest, before this body votes on this thing today, that everybody go home and read that. Go home and read the 11th Circuit Court of Appeals decision. Read those justices' decision and what they wrote.
Okay. Mr. Lucas, unfortunately, we have a motion already on the floor and we are having discussion. Would you like to offer any discussion?
I just did.
You offered a motion, but we'll consider it discussion, no problem. Anybody else wanna offer up some discussion?
I'd like to discuss how, if we continue in this way, we're not gonna have funds to have a library.
Exactly. Well, that's what we
So
did.
that's where
How
we're
many we
at.
got from different counties here right now? Hold your hands up.
Mr. Lucas,
Thank y'all.
Mr. Lucas, that is out of order. And if I recall correctly, there was a meeting prior, but you are out of order. So I'm just gonna ask if you would stay in order, okay?
And you cut me
I'm
off
just
3
gonna
times.
ask if you stay in
You
order.
cut me off 3 times too,
I'm
Ms.
gonna
Chair.
ask if you stay in
And,
order.
Ms. Chair, Madam Chair, I will say this. Last time I checked the law, we have an attorney here. I'm the highest governing authority in this building right now. I'm a county commissioner that was elected by the people to be over this building. And if I'm wrong on that, we have another county commissioner here, and we'll ask his opinion, or we can ask the chairman from the Pierce
Mr.
County, or we
Lucas,
can ask the sheriff
Mr.
from Pierce
Lucas,
County.
but unfortunately, this is not a commission meeting, it's a library board meeting. Okay, and I'm the
Which I
authority in the library board meeting, and so I'm gonna ask that you remain within the rules of decorum, that you treat everybody with respect, and as we're discussing this, you discuss it with the board members and not with the people who are here
Madam
to
Chair, I would
observe.
ask that you do the
Okay.
same thing.
Thank you so,
Counteract
thank you
and
so much. So, thank you. So is there any other discussion in regards to the mural?
I have a question
Okay, okay,
about this.
uh-huh.
If the regional board has already approved, the display policy, how can we vote on this that is in opposition to the regional board policy?
I get where you're going. In terms of the regional board policy, as, it's a matter of actually interpretation. So I've done research my own self to try to figure out what this idea of sex, ideology is. And all of the legitimate resources that I found refer back to this act of feminism, kind of way back in the day when women's rights were being advocated for. And I don't see that particularly here as an issue. The second thing that comes to mind is in my research, I actually found a video of from a meeting of Commissioner Lucas, who explained that you have to have this pink in the rainbow in order for it to be about sex. So when I looked at the rainbow, there is no pink in the rainbow. As a matter of fact, when I look at the rainbow, what I see is diversity. And the first thing that comes to mind for me is my lessons from Sunday school about Noah's Ark and the rainbow sign. And so we have also in previous conversations with community members. People express that it can represent things related to mental health. So that rainbow kind of represents a whole lot of things, right? And so when we look at our policy, it becomes a little fuzzy because that particular rainbow it's not isolated to one particular thing. Hold up, Ms. Denton, because Ms. Jacobs is next. I'm just answering.
That's fine.
She asked me a question.
I'll just
And
make sure
so
I'm
that,
right.
that's where we are. So in a short, it's a matter of interpretation, okay?
The policy
Uh-huh.
is a matter of interpretation.
Yeah, that's correct. That's correct. That's what I'm saying, okay? Ms. Jacobs, you had some comments that you wanted to offer?
Yeah, I just think in the current display policy we have, sex-based ideology, I don't understand what is meant by that. Does that mean gay?
It could mean anything based on sex. It could be homosexual, heterosexual, anything. We should not be focusing on genitalia or the practices used with genitalia at a library. We shouldn't.
I just don't understand. I don't go around thinking about what's in anybody's pants or what they do with it when I come
Evidently
here.
you do, because right here, I'll read it.
Ladies, okay, I am, point of order. So, Ms. Jacobs, I'm gonna ask that you address the board.
Okay.
And Ms. Denton, I'm gonna ask that you do the same. So if you have anything that you would like to say for
Okay.
discussion, then,
What the mural, when I see the mural, I see it representing marginalized communities. There are people of every different shade and color on that mural. There are different ages on that mural. That mural to me represents the disability community. And that's the reason I was first put on this board in 2020, was because I am a disability advocate in the community. Because I have been raising a nonverbal, severely autistic daughter for 18 and 2/3 years. So I'm pretty well versed in that, and she has no representation in the community. So when I look at that mural, I see someone with a hearing aid, I see someone with a tracheostomy tube, I see someone in a wheelchair, and I see someone with a communication device like my daughter uses. She's not represented anywhere in this community except at the Miracle League, where everyone's accepted there too. But taking that down erases disability representation as well. Because there are 4 disabled people on that, and that is a marginalized community.
Okay.
okay, hold on, I just wanna make sure she's finished. Yes, Ms. Denton.
So I'm gonna read this, and this came from you. It says, the chair of the local board declaring to the manager, I'm glad you put those flags up there, and I think that they have served their purpose and caused us to move to put that mural up. To make that an urgent and right matter. The flags having served that purpose and done that and taken things to the next level, you said that's a special signifier highlighting the importance of its cause. That came from you.
You don't have to convince me, I said it.
Yes, you
And I
did.
own it, because here is the thing, if you place that in context, what was going on is that there were people who come to this library, who are part of our community, who are tax-paying, law-abiding citizens, and most of them I talked to Bible believing. And the thing that they were saying is that those flags helped them know that they were safe here, that they have a space here. And Evelyn, if you don't ever have to experience being marginalized, being less than, being ostracized, being marginalized, you really don't understand the importance of having a space where you feel welcome. And the truth of the matter is, public libraries, despite what someone once told us, has not always been for everyone. As a matter of fact, there's some people in this room who remember when Black people were not allowed to go to public libraries. And in that discussion, to desegregate libraries, there were a lot of the same things going on. People being called pedophiles, they're gonna go in the bathrooms, they're going to attack our women and children, all of this to cast fear. So when I said that, I meant that. I meant that not because I'm promoting any particular lifestyle, but I am promoting the value of humanity. And every person in this community deserves to be valued as a human being, regardless of their beliefs. Now, it is clear to most people that you and I that we disagree on some things. But I'm gonna keep treating you with value and with respect. And guess what? I bet you we can find a way to coexist and to be together with both of us being represented. So I hear the arguments, and I'm listening, and I really do understand. But I'm asking that you would consider that perhaps there's an element that you don't quite get. One of the things that impressed me that the library did not too long ago was they had a Mexican exhibit out here, right? And I know it as the Day of the Dead, but what is it called? Maybe one of the We had a young lady come in tears and thank the library board for allowing such a display, because for so many years and for so long, her culture was demonized because people see the skull and they think it has something to do with demons. When all that celebration is about is remembering and honoring your ancestors, which we do, I do it in a different way. And so I was educated, I was informed. And so now I don't have to be afraid or fearful when I see that, and I can help other community members understand. Do I celebrate Day of the Dead? Absolutely not, I don't. But I can appreciate her culture and her perspective. And for me, that's what libraries are about. And that's exactly what I meant by that statement. That this idea of representation. There was a book, and I'm not sure if I got it from this library, in a course that I took called Sacred Ground, that really helped me out and helped me to further be able to articulate. And so what I'm offering to this board is that rather than looking at one little thing and making it a big division or making it a big divisive, how about look at the 90% that we all have in common and find a way to deal and to get along with the 10%, is all I'm asking. And this board voted unanimously to put that mural up because we wanted to maintain an atmosphere of being inclusive. Because the reality is that there are many places in this community where everybody is not welcome. And we are still working from the Civil Rights Act passed in 1964, which it is recorded that Georgia agencies didn't even start implementing until Jimmy Carter was president. And we want to make sure that those efforts continue to stay before us and that we are intentional about welcoming everybody. Because no, not everybody knows that they're welcome at the library, and we have to say it. So that is my contribution to the discussion, and I will entertain a motion at this time.
There's already a motion.
Oh, that's right, thank you. Even though you spoke out of turn, thank you. So the motion on the floor is that we leave the mural up, and so we can vote by roll call vote. And so I will start this side of the room this time.
I make a motion that we take the.
Timmy, we have a motion on the floor, so we are
So I can't make
voting.
the motion?
No, not while one is on
Point
the
of
floor.
order, Robert Rules of Order, you have to deal with the motion that's on the floor now. You either
Sir?
rescind it, or vote on it.
Sir, I appreciate your help, but I do have a Robert's Rules of Order advisor, and he's got you, okay? So, Commissioner Lucas?
No.
Okay, so Commissioner Lucas is nay. Ms. Coker?
Respectfully, I've been listening to this conversation for about 30 minutes. That is all the information that I have on it. I don't feel like I have enough information to
So
vote
you'll
this time.
abstain?
I'm gonna abstain.
I can respect that, Ms. Coker, thank you. Ms. Bennett? I can't hear you.
Yes.
Yes. Ms. Etheridge? Let me speak. May I? We're kind of voting and we had the opportunity to speak.
I'm gonna vote yes, and if anyone wants to question me later, then ask me and I'll tell you why.
say? I vote yes.
Based on the fact we're voting against the regional policy, I vote no.
Okay.
Yes.
She said yes. Ms. Hall said yes. I'm sorry, Ms. Williams?
Yes.
Yes. And Ms.
Hard
Denton?
no.
Okay, no. All right, what do we have, Madam Secretary?
1 abstain, 1, 2, 3, no. And 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, yes.
Okay.
Which makes 10.
We getting good at this,
This
aren't
time.
we? All right, so it looks like the yes has it, so the mural will remain, at this time. All right? So we'll move on to our next agenda item, which is our WARE fiscal year 2025 budget approval. As we are preparing to move to our budget approval, I see pages turning and we're getting to the right place. I just want to, remind everybody that everybody has the right to make a decision, right? And so our funding sources can also, do this. I don't make any funding decisions. All right. Ware County fiscal year 2025, Lynn, you are on.
Lynn, are you still there?
Yes, I'm here. Erica, you wanna talk since you're there, or?
Yeah, I can. The budget that you have, has us receiving, of course, our, money from the county, from the Board of Ed. We're also receiving $25,000 from our state grant to fund a portion of our branch manager's salary. And $21,783.65 for materials. And we're projected to use, if you look at the budgetary fund balance, we're projected to use $2,652.50 out of the fund balance.
At this time, I'll receive a motion for our fiscal year 2025 budget approval. I just want to remind us the kind of way it goes. We make a motion to receive it or not receive it, and then we have a discussion. So is there a motion to receive the report?
Okay, I guess I'll make a motion to receive it. A motion in all day.
Is there a second? Second it? As for moved and properly second that we receive the report. Discussion? Is there any discussion? Hearing none, we'll take the vote. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Roll call vote, sorry. Ms. Denton?
Aye.
Ms. Williams?
Aye.
Ms. Jacobs?
Aye.
Ms. Parker?
Aye.
Harris, aye. Ms. Etheridge?
Aye.
Ms. Coker?
Aye.
And Mr. Lucas?
Aye.
All right.
Miss Hall.
And Ms. Hall, thank you. And Ms. Hall, we're voting on the, aye, you got it, all right. All right. Financial report, budget update, fiscal year 2024 Q3.
The total revenues for the period are $247,521.47, which is 81% of the budget. The revenue does include a $5,000 grant that we received from Satilla REMC Foundation and $27,910.83 that we received from the MRR Technology Grant from GPLS. The expenditures for the period are $263,431.87, which is 86% of the budget. And this includes our payment to travelers insurance, repairs and maintenance, our E-rate project, and dues, fees, and subscriptions. And we had a manager attend the Georgia Libraries Conference last year, and our expendable equipment.
All right, you have heard the financial, let's get the motion on for it in the discussion. You have heard the report that has been given by our director. Is there a motion?
I make a motion, we receive the report.
Second.
Okay, it has been moved by Ms. Jacobs, second by Ms. Denton. Discussion?
Have we received the money yet from Board of Education?
We have.
We have, good, okay, just checking.
Any other questions or discussion? Any other questions or discussion? All right. Hearing none. I would just like to point out that, I know that everybody in the room recognizes that, there have been some threats to the funding of the library since we're talking about this fiscal year 2024, Ms. Denbridge, and I just want you to know it is my intention, and I believe the board in general, our intention, even though we disagree about how to do it, that the libraries stay open. I'm on my convictions, but I'm also with this fiscal 2024 and the possibility of funding changing. I just want to take this opportunity to appeal to people, because here is my concern when it comes to this and it comes to funding. When will it stop? So for everything that a certain segment of our community doesn't agree with, is funding gonna be held over the library's head? Because we've had many discussions, we've had many issues, and I think by and large, we work really well together to accommodate and to do certain things, all right? I think that provides for us at this point a fair space for everybody to operate. And so my concern is that if we allow, if we don't stand up as a community saying we want our libraries open and let's continue to work through this, then what happens if we say, yeah, and then the next time, because that's what's been happening. Say, okay, you want this, okay, we got this. Then it comes back up, well, if you don't do this, then we're gonna do this. If you don't do this, then we're gonna do this. So I'm not sure where that will stop. And so I wanna offer that up for consideration as we receive this fiscal year 2024 budget report, all right? So it's been moved and properly second that the report be received. I think I was the only one to offer up any discussion, so we'll receive the vote starting with Ms. Denton. Aye. Ms. Williams, aye? Okay.
Aye.
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 All right. Let me, commend the director and,
Dr. Hall.
Dr. Hall, sorry. I'll be glad when you feeling better. Ms. Hall, did you vote for the report? Aye, okay. So now's the time in our meeting where we have our staff reports. And so as our staff prepares, to kind of give us a summary of their reports, I want to commend them. What I see happening so often is that we get to this point and people leave, they're gone, and they don't get to hear all the great things that the library is doing. I'm not sure if it's because they got somewhere to go and it's a time thing, or they just don't care about the rest of it, I'm not sure. But I really would like for you to hear the great things that are going on at our public library here at Ware County, Waycross Library. So I'm gonna open it up for Sherry. Oh, no, library director. Okay. Sorry, in church, we do it backwards. Go ahead.
Well, first here at Ware County, we're planning the library renovations. So we're really excited about that. Hopefully, like I said, that we can fast track that. I did some statistics for each of our library branches for door count for the last 8 months, and Ware County came in at 28,053 people that have come through the door. 28,053 people.
Wow.
In 8 months, Also, here at Ware, we had a promotional event to introduce the 1,000 Books Before Kindergarten program. And we had Bluey, the little character from the cartoon show, come to visit. And for 2 different story times, total together, that was 400 people that came for those. So that was a lot. 169 at toddler time, and then about 231 for the after-school story time. And since that was such a big hit, we'll have Bluey probably coming back for summer reading, because that kids really love that character. Currently, I serve on the Okefenokee-Risa Control Board. That helps me keep informed about what's going on at the colleges here and the school systems. I attended financial training in February, and I'm planning to attend the directors meeting in May. And then Sherry also serves on the Georgia Library Service for the Blind and Print Disabled. She's an ambassador for them.
Okay.
And I'll do the Adult Services Librarians Report, which is Kathleen McClure. She's wrapping up her adult programming for the fiscal year. She had gesture drawing programs. Those were really fun. I attended one of those. I'm not much of an artist, but she helped me feel more confident after attending that program. The adult summer reading program will incentivize our patrons to read weekly and attend library programs to earn entries for a prize drawing. And she has already purchased those prizes. Some upcoming programs that she plans to have are a beading program, color and postcards, diamond dot ornaments have been popular in the past, printmaking, another spa day, and she has ongoing adult collection development, so she orders all of our books, DVDs, audiobooks, e-materials, games, magazines. She does a really great job with that. And she fills our interlibrary loan services. When people request books from somewhere else, she sends those out for us. So that's about it for her.
So the systems manager report.
I'm sorry, I have one question.
Mhm.
Can board members participate for the drawing of the summer reading? Y'all have great prizes.
I don't see why not. You can put your name in.
Okay, sorry about that.
All right, systems manager report.
I usually participate when I put my daughter's name in it,
Oh, okay.
so it's not me.
So as far as grant work goes, we did receive reimbursement for our E-rate Cat 2 project. That was a firewall upgrade at each of the branches and a network switch. We're planning another E-rate project for the upcoming year, and Kat and I still work on Data for Good, which is a data analytics grant. I deployed benefits kiosks from the Georgia Department of Human Services, and these are at each of our 5 branches. They allow patrons to log into Georgia Gateway and do their updates, stuff like that. Also, we did get reimbursement for LibTech fiscal year 24 grant funds, and with this grant, we bought new copiers, some children's computers, some launch pads, which are touchscreen tablets for the kids, and Ware had received a new microfilm reader. I do also assist through a contract from the library, Okefenokee-Risa, and help them with their technology. Upcoming projects, we have Deep Freeze has been upgraded, and we are going to upgrade the camera system at each of our branches.
Okay, thank you so much.
For our local branch, we have had no changes in our staff this quarter. We all get along really good. So for outreach, I got to serve as a judge at the Ware County High School Regional Culinary Event. I really like that. We, were at the Oath Hearts for the Homeless Luncheon. We, presented at the Ware County Health Fair, and I presented at Ware Children's Initiative on library resources for children. Our recurring programs, we're still distributing those food bags for school-aged kids in cooperation with Feed the Gap, which is a ministry of the Waycross First United Methodist Church. We have a weekly story time for elementary kids, a weekly toddler time for preschool kids, a weekly Lego club. Our yoga for kids with Ware Extension is monthly. We have a weekly library tabletop gaming guild. Eating Well is 2 times a month. That is in cooperation with Way Green. Our crafternoons meet every Tuesday and Thursday. You can learn to crochet on Fridays. We have a monthly introduction to meditation group. We continue to distribute much needed supplies to those in our neighborhood who are experiencing homelessness. Patrons and local agencies and churches have donated no prep and low prep foods and hygiene items to help us help these people. Jamestown Baptist Church provides and delivers hot meals to the hungry at the library on Wednesdays and Thursdays, and we average about 45 meals per day there. They've also started Sacred Threads, and they set up in the parking lot, and anybody who is at risk and needs clothing, they can come in and just pick what they want. Our special events, we're continue with our blood drives, our vaccination and site navigation events, Valentine's card making. We had a DIY spa day. We've started doing senior center pop-up libraries. We do that on the 1st and 3rd Monday. That's a lot of fun. Jester Drawing with Cat. Our Bluey toddler time was so good. Bluey story time. Upcoming events. This was, when I wrote this, it was an upcoming event. But we had our local author, Suzanne Hendricks. We did a book signing with her. Pets, we're gonna be doing outreach at the Pet Sense Adoption event this month. We're doing Jester Drawing again. We're gonna have Wild Exotics Animal Show, Doc Magic Show, Turtle Man, which is a interactive story time, Firefighter Elementary story time, and Touch a Truck, Friendly Firefighter Safety Preschool event, and Touch a Truck, and Waycross Animal Services Adoption event. And we're gonna learn to make kombucha. So, wow. So Erica talked about our door count a little bit, but I will say our door count for March was 4,033. So our numbers continue to grow.
Yeah. So did I hear you say that your count for March was
Just March.
4,033?
4,033, and that's a digital counter. So that's not anything that we're counting, it's a digital counter.
All right. Well, thank you so much. Thank you. Is there any, and we normally just make a motion to receive the reports as provided. Can I receive a motion at this time?
Make a motion to receive the reports as provided.
Okay. Motion has been made. I'm sure that, Ms. Jacobs appreciates that.
I second.
And Carla seconds. It's been moved and properly second that we receive the reports that have been provided by our library staff. Is there any discussion? Hearing none. Ms. Daniel. Aye. Ms. Williams?
No, that's it. Aye.
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 Aye. All right.
Dr. Hall.
Dr. Hall. All right. So we have arrived. We made it, y'all. We made it. I received a motion for an adjournment.
So moved, Chair.
All right, thank you, sir. I appreciate it. Now here's where I forget. Now I know, Mr. Advisor, sir, that adjournment is not debatable, but we do need a second, right?
Well, in a small board meeting like this, when you come to the end of your agenda, if there's nothing else, you can.
It's an
say-
exception.
Yeah, you just accept it. Just say, business done, we're adjourned.
All right, well, I'm gonna acknowledge your motion, okay? So Mr. Lucas has moved that the meeting be adjourned, and I don't know, Cheryl a second. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Meeting adjourned. Oh, Miss Martha.